Hey everyone, and welcome to the Dota 2 Builds of the Week, the weekly series where I show you guys top 5 meta builds to help you get started with new heroes in Dota 2. As always, a link to my Twitch is down in the description below if you'd like to catch the action live, as is a link to each of the builds I'm discussing today. Today we're getting started with Position 1 Chaos Knight. Now, Chaos Knight has been really hot in the meta league. We actually covered him about 2 months ago when the patch first started, and his dominance has straight up continued. You see him, seeing him picked non-stop in pro meta, and he is absolutely ridiculous. Even on stream, right? I have like a mid-60s, 65% win rate on him, and that's with doing a lot of experimentation to build these builds, and he's remarkable. Let's talk about his build. So basically with Chaos Knight, there's so much variation in what you can do, but realistically what you're doing here is, this is kind of a new build that I've been working on, and I think that it is super viable. Basically, you're taking stats up front, you're getting an early wand into Bracer. Now, what I found is going wand into Bracer is a little more beneficial than Soul Ring. Chaos Knight already has a lot of armor up front. He starts with about 5, and, you know, I think the Bracer is a good early item for him, and the Wand gives him that added, like, burst of sustainability in terms of mana and health. But realistically, what you're doing is you're finishing your boots fast into an armlet. The armlet's absolutely valuable. Now, one thing I want to say is a lot of people tend to, especially if you're new, you tend to get the Helm of the Iron Will first for the armor and regeneration. But something worth considering with Chaos Knight specifically, he does so much upfront damage physically that if you go with, like, your Gloves of Haste first, like, you can secure your lane and start getting kills, right? Which is absolutely fantastic. And then what I've been doing is I've been going Echo Saber into Heart of Tarrasque. The early Heart of Tarrasque is really cool because it basically makes it like you get so much XP. If you can finish this by like the 25-26 minute mark, the enemy team just can't really deal with it, and it's truly remarkable. Like, you can make a significant push to like end the game at times. Your shard's broken, and you know your Scotty makes you basically unkillable. With that being said, if you're interested as well, you can actually add a Sange and Yasha either before or after your Heart of Tarrasque. What it basically does is it really amplifies the amount of healing you can get from Chaos Strike, which really amplifies your amount of sustain. But I've been finding that this level 10 talent kind of offsets the need for the SNY, even though, like, obviously SNY is a great item on CK. You can almost skip the SNY, take the level 10 talent, and then go right to the Heart of Tarrasque and get that sustain that you're looking for regardless. But regardless, right now, CK, sorry, is absolutely ridiculous. He is so unbelievably strong right now, and he's a hero. Like you can see from his optional items as well. Like, he builds so many different things. He is so viable right now. He's a hero you definitely have to try if you're not trying already. In position 2 mid, we're talking about Huskar, and we actually have spoken about Huskar relatively recently because he continues to be a very viable hero in this patch. He doesn't see that much play in the pro scene, but in the high MMR pub metas, he is seeing a lot of play. And once again, CK, you have an armlet builder, and in Huskar, you have a armlet builder. Armlet has been a very consistent item over the last couple patches, and for a good reason. It's fantastic, and a hero like Huskar has genuinely benefited from it. Let's talk about his build. So basically what you're doing is you are going stats up front. Now, he is one of the mids that doesn't necessarily build bottle. You can if you want, but he doesn't necessarily build bottle very often. You are going Bracer into Armlet. Once you get your Armlet boots and your Heaven's Halberd, like, I mean, you figure it out, but generally speaking, he's also a very early Roshan hero. He can take Roshan very quickly. It's something worth considering. But the major build right now that's worth noting is that a lot of pro players are kind of mixed up between, do you go Heaven's Halberd first or Agnum Scepter first? This is kind of like, you're getting both, but the order in which you do it is up to you. Generally speaking, most players are going Heaven's Halberd into Agnum Scepter, and you can even see some instances where people go Ags into Blade Mail, which I know is a little strange, but with Huskar, that return damage does provide some value, because with the Ags, they're forced to attack you for 3 seconds. It's almost like a duel, really. It's almost like LC's duel, and you can return a lot of damage while ensuring that Berserker's Blood and Burning Spear do a lot of damage back to the enemy. A great 1v1 combative spell. It also increases the range of Life Break, which is great. You also have BKB, which is fantastic as well. Do not underestimate the value of BKB and something like Infused Raindrops with Huskar. Although recently the amount of magic resistance added thanks to Berserker's Blood is super valuable. This was like the major thing that Huskar lacked, that like magic resistance during Berserker's Blood, and now you actually have that, which is great inherently. But don't make the mistake of not taking Infused Raindrops or BKB in lineups that can easily burst you, like Necros and Linas and other heroes with significant magical burst. And his shard's fantastic as well. Inner Fire is one of the best disables in the game right now. You know, so it's just fantastic to use. And then from there, you know, you have a whole bunch of you know, item variations. You can go Power Treads. The reason why people aren't going Power Treads, like, Power Treads obviously does like improve Huskar overall. They're finding the boots into Heaven's Halberd Ags timing is a little more significant, but if you are new to the game and you like are not like as bound by the timings, then going power treads is absolutely good. Like go power treads here and then build your halberd. Like no one in your low MMR games are going to complain about that, but in pro level metas they really do prioritize these timings of the Ags or the Heaven's Halberd depending on the situation. But realistically, Huskar continues to be a very viable mid in the current meta. It's always an exciting day in the Dota 2 builds of the week when we get to discuss a hero for the first time. And for the first time, we're talking about Pangolier. And that's because Pangolier has been like a really weird hero where he's not really in the meta. Like Thompson would pick him mid and like some people like Luki's always picking him, but like no one's really actually playing Pango all that often. Now he's become a little more popular. But then the other side of it is a lot of new players are like intimidated by Pangolier because they play him once. They're like, I can't do this. You have a vector targeted ability in Swashbuckle. Rolling Thunder is really hard to use. And so like people just bounce off him really fast. And like I've got this feedback on stream. I'm like, you guys should try Pangolier. They're like, Pango's too hard. And so let's talk about his build and like kind of like put it to rest because Pango is definitely a hero you got to try. So basically, the way you build him is, and again, this is going to be down in the description below, but you get a value point in both, you know, Shield Crash, Swashbuckle, and Lucky Shot. Lucky Shot's kind of like what Pango's known for if you're brand new to the game. It is a percentage-based chance to basically disarm or reduce armor, but the important thing about Lucky Shot is that it combos very well with Swashbuckle, which basically has like this, I know it's getting cut off a little bit on the screen, but basically you do a bunch of slashes and, you know, there's 4 strikes, and those strikes have a chance to proc Lucky Shot. So while it is 17%, you have 17%, and then it happens on 4 instances to actually trigger that. So that's why Pango is really interesting because of Swashbuckle. With that being said, that's why a lot of his itemization revolves around his ability to work around Swashbuckle. So Orb of Corrosion is really good because you can hit multiple targets with Swashbuckle. Okay, you slow multiple targets, you reduce the armor, right? You're doing some extra damage. Then you have Diffusal Blade, which like per attack is doing that guaranteed mana burn, which is fantastic for Swashbuckle. And then you have Skull Basher, which has percentage-based opportunities to bash based on Swashbuckle. Now, there is one thing I will say is that there is like a non-listed cool. Actually, there is the 2.3 second cooldown on bash. They never used to be listed, but there it is. So there is a cooldown on bash, which means that like you can't bash multiple people with one Swashbuckle, but you're kind of guaranteed to bash somebody almost. And then you also have like Mjolnirs and you have MKBs. Like these are all things that really kind of work well with Swashbuckle, and that's kind of the point of utilizing Pangolier. But the key thing about Pango is that his Shield Crash is absolutely fantastic. It's a great skill now. It does damage. The armor reduction is fantastic as well. But sorry, not the armor reduction, the damage reduction that you're taking. But overall, what's really important about Pango is that he has one of the best teamfight ultimates in the game. Right? And once you realize that at lower MMRs, like people are team fighting non-stop, like you have a hero that can really impact the game in like a really cool way. And that's what his his shard allows you to like to stop your Rolling Thunder and even like reroute it kind of thing. It adds a little bit of like mobility to your Rolling Thunder, which is really important. Your Agnum Shard creates a Shield Crash with Swashbuckle. It's pretty awesome. Like he's a great hero. His Yule Scepter is really neat because if you Rolling Thunder on top of somebody and you Yule Scepter in the air, anybody who touches that Yule Scepter like still gets stunned by the Rolling Thunder. So you can kind of land and keep stunning people. Rolling Thunder can be difficult to control, but once you have Yules and once you have his Ag Shard, you start to find ways to control it a little better. And he also has a very wide kind of optional item list because he can be really reactive to the game situation. Overall, I don't want you to kind of be scared of Pango. He's a hero that I'm scared of. Like I do not like playing Pango because I know I have to commit a ton of energy to like really playing him properly. But if you are committed to learning an interesting hero that has a very fun playstyle, Pango's your guy. How can you not love this little squirrel? The amazing thing about Hoodwink is that like no matter how you're feeling, if you're down, you've lost a bunch of games, you just want to relax, you want to play a fun hero, Hoodwink is such a great pick. You do so much damage, you have a stun. It's just a skill shot of sharpshooter. She's just so fun to play. She's like one of my go-tos when I'm tilted out. And she's just fun, and she's viable at all points in the meta. Low MMR, high MMR, pro meta. She's being picked everywhere, which is nice to see. But regardless, let's talk about the build. Now, I'm going to preface this right away by saying that, like, this is greedy as hell. I like this build. This is, like, my go-to, like, build for relatively new players of the game that want to utilize some fun abilities while also kind of like not griefing their game. Yes, going Gleipnir, like if you're relatively high in MMR, you're like, yo, this guy's recommending Gleipnir on a position 4 Hoodwink. Yes, it's greedy as hell. I know that, I recognize that. But you know what also it is? It's fun as hell too. And it also provides you with, you know, some team fight viability, right? That AoE. Now, realistically, a lot of people think that you need Maelstrom to clear waves. You don't, right? When you Acorn Shot into Bushwhack, that's usually enough to clear a wave as a Hoodwink. So bear that in mind. But the Maelstrom helps as well. You do get procs. So the Maelstrom procs off of the Acorn Shot. Now, as a support, I really do recommend that you do go Solar Crest. Hoodwink's one of those heroes that if someone catches you, you die anyway. So if you kind of play around the tree line a little bit, you Solar Crest your position 1 or 2, and then you hide in the tree line, you throw your Acorn Shots, your Bushwhacks, your Sharpshooters, you do things from a distance a little bit, and you know, you keep yourself safe. With that being said, I think there's some very important value items here. She gets bursted down so bad, so infused raindrops can be super valuable. Mana regen is extremely valuable as well, as seen by the Ring of Basilius. The negative armor provided by Blightstone is pretty legit. It actually gets applied to Acorn Shot. You also have the armor corruption talent here as well. And then finally, I think that it's really important for you to consider, you know, Aether Lens, Spirit Vessel. Her Ags is pretty good as well, but if you're new to the game and like, you know, if the game goes long, you can get to the Ags. A lot of pros like the Ags as well. But regardless, she's a fantastic hero. I actually did a full complete beginner's guide on her. So if you are brand new to the game and you want to learn Hoodwink from scratch, I'll link it up above. It'll help you a lot. With that being said, Hoodwink, position 4. She's a ton of fun. Do not sleep on this absolutely wonderful squirrel. Position 5, hard support. We got to talk about Jakiro, because Jakiro is one of those heroes that like is always relevant in the meta. And if you're relatively new to the game and you're like, I want to play support, but I don't really know how to play. Like, so many people recommend like Crystal Maiden. I'm just like, no, don't play Crystal Maiden, because like she's good, but she's gonna die nonstop, right? And you know, Jakiro's kind of the same way. He's gonna die a lot because he lacks mobility like Crystal Maiden. But what he does not lack is the ability to defend objectives extremely appropriately. He can push towers, he can push objectives, he can clear waves, he can push lanes. This guy can do everything that you need at low MMRs, unranked games, whatever you're doing, whatever you're learning, this guy does it. And essentially the way it works is you take points into Dual Breath. It's a fantastic ability. It helps you clear so many creeps. It allows you to hit multiple heroes and allows you to defend objectives. Ice Path, although hyper unreliable as a stun, still a valuable stun. Liquid Fire helps you take objectives, really messes with you know, offlaners trying to like, you know, harass and get last hits. But most importantly is Macro Pyre. Macro Pyre can single-handedly defend a structure. So you TP to mid while it's under attack and you Macro Pyre, like literally you just write off a whole area of the map. The whole area, like they're like, well, I guess we got to wait for this Macro Pyre to end because now we can't take mid. Like you literally completely stop them taking a tower in their tracks with Macro Pyre, and you can do it every 60 seconds or 80 seconds at lower levels. And that's why if you're greedy as hell and you go Ags, which is my favorite thing to do on Jakiro, which is it's a borderline grief, but you go Ags and you just defend the tower nonstop. It makes it so the Macro Pyre is just absolutely impossible to deal with for the enemy team, piercing BKB and everything. It's so good. It's so good. If you do that, you do have to take the talent at level 20, by the way. But anyways, if you actually want to play properly, right, you get your Ring of Basilius, you are going Arcane Boots. Yule Scepter is important because what Yule Scepter does is you Yules them in the air, and while they're going down, you Ice Path them. So as they land in the Ice Path, and they get stunned and held in place, okay? So that's why Yules is so important. Similarly, you can also use Rod of Vados. Same thing. You Rod of Vados someone, they're rooted for 2 seconds. You cast the Ice Path, they're rooted for a little longer while stunned. That being said, Jakiro has almost no mobility, so you're going to want to build some sort of escape or kind of like defensive item. You might want something like a Glimmer Cape so you can go invis. You might want a Force Staff if you're against like Slarks and Clockworks and you know, things along those lines. You might want something like a Ghost Scepter if you're against like PAs or heroes that can jump on top of you and burst you down. But regardless, oh, and of course Aether Lens is super valuable as well. Again, I really like Ags, but whatever. Regardless, Jakiro's one of those heroes that, like, if you're new to the game, you're like, Alex, I want to play position 5. I'm not really sure who to play. I kind of want someone that's relatively easy to pilot, and I'm going to be dying anyway. Jakiro's a good call because, like, you push waves, you trade very well. You know, he doesn't have the greatest attack range. I mean, he actually can at level 10 if you want to take it, but that's a whole other build. There's a whole other build with his shard and the 10. We'll get into that another time, but he is a really good hero to play if you're just getting started. And even if you're not, if you're an expert at the game, I mean, you know, 6K top 1000 extraordinaire Z Quixotics, he plays Jakiro almost nonstop. And look where it got him, right near the top. So he's a great hero to play no matter what your rank is. Thank you guys so much for watching, and a very special thank you to all of our wonderful subscribers. Guys, we'll see you in the next Dota 2 video.